Washington Watch. On the other side of the break, we're going to be joined by former Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom, Sam Brownback. That's coming up next here on this edition of Washington Watch.
Everything we do begins as an idea. Before there can be acts of courage, there must be the belief that some things are worth sacrificing for. Before there can be marriage, there is the idea that man should not be alone. Before there was freedom, there was the idea that individuals are created equal. It's true that all ideas have consequences, but we're less aware that all consequences are the fruit of ideas. Before there was murder, there was hate. Before there was a Holocaust, there was the belief by some people that other people are undesirable. Our beliefs determine our behavior, and our beliefs about life's biggest questions determine our worldview. Where did I come from? Who decides what is right and wrong? What happens when I die? Our answers to these questions explain why people see the world so differently. Debates about abortion are really disagreements about where life gets its value. Debates over sexuality and gender and marriage are really disagreements about whether the rules are made by us or for us. What we think of as political debates are often much more than that. They're disagreements about the purpose of our lives and the source of truth. As Christians, our goal must be to think biblically about everything. Our goal is to help you see beyond red and blue, left and right, to see the battle of ideas at the root of it all. Our goal is to equip Christians with a biblical worldview and help them advance and defend the faith in their families, communities, and the public square. Cultural renewal doesn't begin with campaigns and elections. It begins with individuals turning from lies to truth. But that won't happen if people can't recognize a lie and don't believe truth exists. We want to help you see the spiritual war behind the political war, the truth claims behind the press release, and the forest from the trees.
Welcome back to Washington Watch. I'm your host, Tony Perkins, and we are broadcasting live from the First Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia, the site of this year's Pray Vote Stand Summit, and we have a live audience as well. So you heard them on the way out, and they're still here. And I tell you what, it's been great being here. First Baptist Church, Atlanta, a great host for the summit. The summit's been wonderful. All of the messengers that have come in, and of course, all our attendees and guests, it's just been tremendous. And one of our speakers tonight, which, by the way, you can watch, go to prayvotestand.org/summit, beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, will be our night session, is Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom in the Trump administration, Ambassador Sam Brownback, and he joins me now here on Washington Watch. Sam, welcome to the program.
Oh, thanks, Tony. Great to be here, and great to be in the church that Charles Stanley built.
Isn't it?
I mean, this is a name I've heard for years, read. I mean, that's really an amazing, great venue to be in.
Well, and that's a great springboard for our conversation because, this is about this church. Dr. Stanley was about teaching and preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. And a lot of times people think, well, I don't want to get involved in politics. But when you look in the administration in which you served as an ambassador at large, and I was the chair of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, the policy of the Trump administration in their foreign policy, their number one foreign policy objective was to advance international religious freedom. You chaired the first summit the gathering of international leaders on that topic. Not that the government was promoting the gospel or preaching the gospel, but they were opening the door and making the world, I guess I would say, knowing that it's a priority for the United States that we be able to talk about religion and Christianity.
Well, and it's not only that, the human rights project around the world has been in decline for 20 years. We've been losing ground on human rights, and the administration decides, well, let's back up here and let's get back to basics. If you get religious freedom right, you will expand your right to assembly, your right to free speech, your right really to be able to stand up to the government.
And of course, we know there's a body of evidence to say that countries have greater economic opportunity, greater stability socially, so it has a lot of benefits.
And less genocide. And it's also, honestly, a way to differentiate from China. China is horrific on what they do to people of faith, all faiths. They're at war with faith. And so it really, as China is trying to stand up and say, we have a system that's equal to open democracy systems, we're saying, no, it's nowhere near equal. This is a subjugation system that the Chinese Communist Party is doing to their entire country and seeks to put on the whole world. Yeah. And we've got to stand up to it.
So to kind of go back to connection with Christians in America who say, I don't want to get, why do I get involved in politics? Well, elections have consequences, and our ability to see doors open for religious the opportunity to be missionaries to other countries really is tied to our policy.
No, it is. It is. I mean, if a country says, no, we're just going to close down to people of faith all over the world, like China's doing, like India is doing, in a number of other countries, it really limits your ability to be able to put those sort of messages out. And we're getting a lot of pressure on religious freedom in the United States. Right. That's another thing that's happening, is pressure here.
But in the Trump administration, you have the ability to, they did promote it and have conversations with international leaders. Hey, this is a priority. I mean, I traveled the world. I saw it. You saw that people realized that, hey, for America, this was a priority, and it changed their policies.
It changed their policy, and it accomplished things. The Abrahamic Accords in the Middle East, which is bringing peace between Israel and several Islamic countries, would not have happened had there not been this engagement with people of faith. The Abrahamic Accords, by its very nature, is about, we're going to engage people of faith, and peace came out of it. This peace deal was a part of it. So this is an accomplishment, and this is really a key way to go. And so many people, they want to just ignore religion or people of faith, or they just want to say that was a bygone era. 80% of the world's people identify with a faith. Right. And they move by that.
And that puts us at a disadvantage when we have this view that faith is not important and keeping it out of our foreign policy. We're not able to communicate effectively with 80 to 90% of the world's population.
And I found I could really negotiate and work well with a number of leaders of other faiths, Muslims, Hindus, others, because they saw me as a person of faith. I understood what faith meant. It's a matter of the heart and the soul. We don't just operate by reason. You also operate by your heart.
And it's something we've been talking about here at the Summit, a biblical worldview, meaning that our lives are informed by and guided by our faith. A lot of the world, while they don't share Christianity, they live informed by and directed by their faith.
And they really appreciate it that somebody else understands how they're operating, instead of just saying, look, frankly, you're stupid, but we're operating by faith, and you ought to just think all this stuff through. And it's really a condescending way to look at people.
It's also an insightful way when you understand that people are guided by their faith, because you can read their book and anticipate what they're going to do.
It's really about understanding the person on the other side of the table. Who enters a negotiation without trying to understand who you're negotiating with?
You want me to answer that question?
Yeah, well, yes.
We see quite a bit of that right now.
Yeah, we do.
Before we run out of time, Ambassador, the state of religious persecution, primarily for Christians around the world, what does it look like?
Not good. You got most of the world has significant religious persecution taking place. You've got people getting killed. China is a whole category of what the future of oppression is going to look like because of the use of high technology and other things. But unfortunately, you just really got a declining situation. In Afghanistan, if you're of the minority faith right now, you've been either run out or killed or you're being hunted now. I mean, it's really gotten terrible after the U.S. withdrawal that's taken place there.
Well, Ambassador, I want to thank you for being here at the Pray Vote Stand Summit. Thank you for joining me on Washington Watch. Thank you for your commitment to life and to these fundamental issues of religious freedom, and look forward to hearing from you tonight.
God bless you, Tony. Thank you. Thank you, audience.